Good afternoon. This is Eric with His&Hers HHQ. First and foremost, if you hear something in the background, it might be my granddaughter. And lovely young lady over here is playing in her ball pit and watching Grandpa. So, with that being said, this is the first video in the series for the Amt 1953 Ford pickup truck. We're building it as a service truck, and it's a promotional build for the local downtown service station. We've already covered most everything in the previous video, but I wanted to get to just real quick. This lovely kit here is an Amt kit, and it's provided by Round 2 Models at round2models.com or autoworldstore.com. I picked up two of these, one for myself and one for the gentleman down at the downtown service station. And this is going to be a build for them. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I like to use my handy little snippers and clip things or situate things into more manageable pieces. In this case, I've clipped the sprue off the frame. I've clipped the seat, the bench seat, off the frame. I've separated a couple of sprues so it was easier to mess with. Like in this case, these here are the axles and springs, and I wanted them separate. I went rooting around in my Autocar A64B kit to find the amber rotators. I said I was going to do the rotators for this thing, but I noticed I've also got marker lights for fenders, so those will come in handy also. Now mind you, when I had this kit as a kid, it actually came with a clear amber sprue like this and a clear red sprue, and they were identical, so they had twin rotators and all the other little doodads and doohickeys. But in this case, I went digging in my Autocar A64B and broke out the amber one, just so I had the rotator. At this case, or in this case, it'll be the rotator and the marker lights. So I've got everything situated, broke down. Again, if you've seen previous videos, you know I leave the clear pieces, such as the glass here, in the bag until ready. And generally speaking, until needed or unless needed, I leave the chrome pieces in the bag also, which, as you can see, I still have my little tools in there from my kit for their build. So this is the promotional build for the downtown service station in Waynesville, Missouri. Full service gas, vehicle inspections, oil changes, tire issues, light duty maintenance. If you happen to ever take one of those moments and travel the Mother Road, Old Route 66, and you'll come through Waynesville, Missouri, be sure you stop in and give these guys a shout and get your gas filled up and get you a drink, stretch out, and enjoy Waynesville. So, on with the build. All right. So that little bit of silliness, I think we'll call it a night where we're at right now. As you can see, after I turned the camera off, I actually had to fiddle fart with these a little bit more, but I got them in place where they're supposed to go. So that's there. That's all situated. The mufflers are pretty well cleaned up. It's just one of those things. After I get prime on it, I'll see if there's anything else, any other little seam line or mold lines on it. I don't know how well you can see that. Let me see. Can you see? I spent some time. I hollowed that out a little bit. I'll try and clean it up a little bit more. But that, of course, is the end of the exhaust pipe. The engine is pretty well assembled. I just have to get the last of the spark plugs on there, plug wires. And, I mean, as you can see, it's pretty well assembled except for the fan itself and the water tubes or water hoses. And the only reason why I haven't put those on, because I got to looking at it. Let me see here. This one would go here. When this gets in place, I don't know if I would be able to get it in play. Get the cab with the front end and the radiator on in place without knocking it loose. So I wanted to leave it free and go from there. What I'm thinking about, since this is a promotional build, I'm thinking about adding a fuel line. This is a fuel pump. I'm thinking about adding a line off of here, but I wouldn't know where it goes on these flathead V8s. But I may not. It's just one of those things. It's still going to look nice. I at least want it wired up with the plug wires. So our V8 is done. Most of this back end is done. I just have to attach the rear drums. And then for Wednesday's video, we'll get a little bit more of the build in, get the front end assembled. And then, well, this part should be ready for prime. The plug wires should be done and the engine will be ready for prime. I'm going to prime and paint the fan separately, obviously, because I want to be able, once I have this painted, I want to be able to come in here and pick out the belts. Because, I mean, once that fan is in place, it'd be real difficult to try and get in those little belts in those little areas there. But this exhaust is really cool. I'm totally digging this. So even though it calls for having the exhaust attached to the frame, like immediately in the step, I'm going to do the exhaust separately, like I did with the Jeep, because I want to be able to make sure I get the exhaust looking proper. The frame isn't going to be a rusted out wreck because the truck itself is going to be patinaed and well worn. So the framework is going to have that surface rust. It's going to be cared for, but it's going to have that surface. I mean, it's not like even rust. It's just that crud. Well, if you look at the undercarriage, the chassis of a almost 70-year-old vehicle that hasn't had a full restoration, it's going to be a little cruddy. And that's kind of what I'm going to go for. It'll be cleaned up. But it'll be little patches of rust here and there. Nothing monumental, nothing major. Road dust, road grime, just use. That's what the look we're going for with that. So that's where we're at there. That's the, let's see, second big assembly. The next big assembly is not even a big assembly. It's just, I think I can pull that off once I get the nubs clipped, get the bench in place, and just be able to leave it. Maybe get the pedals in place and then paint it all as one. I'm not sure, but I was thinking about throwing a blanket of some kind over this, or maybe I just leave it like this, kind of worn. But I like the idea of the blanket, and that way I can more easily give the wear spots and stuff where somebody has sat and occupied a seat long enough to give it that well-worn feel. But once we have all of this done, then we'll get to the major cleanup. And I mean major. Look at this bed. I don't know how well you can see that. You see that there? That's called flash, and we do not want that on our mess, on our model. The unfortunate thing, I like the look, this wood pattern. I don't know if you can hear that scratch. I love the wood boards, but what I may do is either try to sand these injection pin molds as smooth as possible, or clip them down to where they're as even as possible, and then use my balsa wood and lay in a new bed. It's just be that simple. I may actually just lay in the new bed and an actual wood bed, and that way we have the bottom. Actually, look at that. The bottom's nice. That top is just, oh. And you can see where yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to clean up the sides a little bit, obviously, but we're going to do a balsa wood bed, an actual wood bed. And I do have metal strips I will use as the dividers there. But so yeah, anyway, that's where we're at. This is Sunday's video. Look for Wednesday's video, see where we're at. We may have a few more things to discuss. Then, of course, I'm going to try to get back into Friday short, and then Sunday we'll have a bigger progress video. As I said, it'd be 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks to get this thing done, depending upon how long it takes to get the cleanup. But it turns out I'm really trucking along here. Pun intended. Dad joke of the day. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, this is where we're at. I'm Eric with His&Hers HHQ. Follow us over at His&Hers Hobby Headquarters on Facebook. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, comment, help boost the channel, boost the page over on Facebook. Let's get that word for model building out there. Let's keep the hobby alive. Everybody have a good night.